Why not? Where is? I don't
One
see the
viewer
stream.
waiting.
I'm not seeing the notification for. Oh, wait a minute. There it is.
We literally just went live.
What?
Hello, concurrent viewer 1. We got one viewer,
As-
man.
as-
Someone's
as-
in the room. How's it going?
That's me.
That's you?
That's me. I
back
figured
to
I'd
the
let
first
you-
days we were streaming.
I figured I'd let you go on that tangent and just have fun saying hi to me.
Did you? Did you just like that too? Oh, we got a second three. There, we got 3 people in the room.
didn't.
Yes, let's go.
I didn't, but I just liked it. So there we go. Now there's 2.
You didn't like it? All right, we got 4. All right, we getting people and how's everyone doing? Happy Friday.
Howdy.
This is this is being named because I think we need to address this before I start reviewing.
The answer is no.
VG
the
Venom
is no.
says first.
The answer is
Yeah,
no.
okay.
That is the
So
answer to the
VG
question.
Venom says first. Rick on Mike
No,
says Houston
I was
in
actually
the house.
first. I mean, VG Venom was first to
Well,
comment.
no,
so
first
I'll give you
comment
that.
though. First
comment.
Yeah, first
Although
comment.
I don't
gotta
know,
give him that.
the comments the last couple of weeks, the comments have been kind of weird. The way that they're operating.
Right?
Like, you weren't seeing a bunch last week randomly.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes this week. I'm not exactly sure, but we're just gonna give a few seconds so everybody can pile into the Church of Dark Corner Studios. Don't want anybody to miss the sermon, you know. Yeah, sacrilegious much? Yes, very much so.
No, it would have been sacrilegious.
Basically. We've been running hardcore today. I was editing a video and then my wife's like, "You want to go look at vehicles?" Because the car I'm running right now is a 2013 Jetta, and it's just trash. It's falling apart. So we went and we looked at some vehicles. We think we might be pulling the trigger on one, but it's a lot of conversation, man. Because we're looking at a Ford Bronco, one of the new ones.
I was gonna say, that's a wildly different situation compared to what you're used to.
And trying to get my wife to spend $46,000 on a vehicle is tough. You really got to kind of, and to be fair, she's the financial guru of the family. I am not good with money. I'm better with money, but she's the type that can worse. Like literally. Oh, dude, I am 110% better. Easily. However, the video's out of sync?
Yeah, no, I'm laggy as fuck. I don't know why. But I could tell every time I go to talk, you like talk over me. And at first I was getting mad about it, but I'm like, no, I'm just really delayed for some reason.
Oh, I'm like plugged in, man. I'm plugged into the internet. I'm good. It's not me.
I'm never plugged into the internet, so that's rarely a cause for alarm. And I can't be plugged into the internet. So. But
yeah, because I just noticed a delay there. Apologies if there's delay here, guys. We can blame that on Discord, really, if we want to. It's probably Discord.
Did you want to like try to call again?
Oh,
like hang up the call and do it again, just to see.
All right. So let's do this. You, I'll hang up here. There. Dylan is no more, guys. Dylan's been kicked from the live stream. Join the Jesus. That is nobody saw that. Nobody but me saw that because you weren't in on the screen there.
Oh,
all right, is that better?
It. Yeah, I will find out. I don't know. Look at my lips moving and see if they match my audio.
Everything matches for me, so it also could be me, but that's my internet has been like issue problem. But I'm not showing any dropped frames. So my CPU's fine, 60 frames per second. Yeah, I got plenty. Cool. Both out of sync, but who cares? Carry on, Clint. Thank you, Clint. Appreciate it. Anyways, so we're looking at buying a Bronco. It's a lot of money. My wife is really good with money, but it caused we're intense conversations leading right up to this live stream. So I had everything set up and it was just race to the computer and hit start. So that's why I'm a little out of sorts today. Otherwise, how you doing, Dylan? You doing well?
It's been a week. It's been a busy week. I am looking forward. Tomorrow, I am doing nothing, and I am proud of that. because I've had 2 days this week where I've been up working until 5 o'clock in the morning. So, and for those that are curious, I don't work nights. So no, that is not normal. Uh, I work days. I work 9 to 5, although apparently in this case, 5 is 5 a.m. Um,
So Beresford says, ahoy, there's currently controversy in the UK surrounding a well-known TV presenter and his tweets. Are we talking about what's his name? Is he BBC?
Piers?
Who's the guy? Piers Morgan.
Piers Morgan? Yeah.
We talking Piers? I'm guessing we're talking Piers. Do you want to tell the class exactly what you've been doing for the past week and why you've been staying up till 5?
Sure. I had to do, I think the big thing was I had to do a jingle, stupid story. So this started out as a jingle. It's for a place in the States, a telco called, I'm not going to say the name, but a telco in the States. And what started out as a jingle for a certain amount of money ended up turning into a full 3-minute and 15-second derivative work of a song for the same amount of money. And also they wanted it in 4 days. So we had to have you get 3 words: cheap, fast, easy, cheap, fast, good. Pick any of those 2. We had to have that lovely conversation. That went nowhere because they're like, well, how do we get all 3 of those? That's what I want to know. I'm like, you don't. That's the point. You don't. If you want all 3 of those, you're going to pay a ridiculous amount of money. Which I guarantee you're not willing to pay, judging from the $1,000 price tag that you guys have thrown at me now. So, and I was just telling Aiden before we started the stream, I distinctly remember a point in my career where I would have probably ended a life for $1,000 to do a song. And now I'm sitting here going, really? That's all you got? That's all you're going to give me? Really? That's it?
I believe the expression is shank my grandmother. That's the expression. That's the one where you're like,
I was gonna go there. I didn't want to get demonetized.
I wasn't close to my grandmother.
I didn't want to get demonetized.
We're good. We're more than 7 seconds in. So yeah, it's amazing when you start. So I started editing a podcast that pays exceptionally well. But it pays exceptionally well because the work needs to be perfect. It's like I'm editing for a podcast that makes 7 figures. So if the podcast's making 7 figures, you're paid well and you're making sure that when they put it live, it's good. And this is something that I cut my teeth on editing podcasts for $90 per episode, and I would take 8-10 hours to do that episode. So when you look at it and you're like, I remember at one time if somebody said, no, you're going to get X amount of money for doing podcast episodes, I would have literally shanked my grandmother for it. And now I'm like, do you think we could bring it up a little bit? I'm spending about 12 hours on this and it's not quite enough.
Wait, are you saying
and I don't want to give away how much
90
for a podcast episode. Yeah. Yep.
That's insane.
That's a couple years ago. That was the running rate for getting into being a podcast editor for somebody that was just starting to get monetized. You got to remember, a few years ago, 7-figure podcasts belonged to only a few people. But we're getting into an era now where there's a lot of people making a lot of money on podcasts. Like if you've put in the work for the past 6 years, you're making bank. So, yeah.
It's funny though,
I know what you mean though. When you're looking at it, you're going, geez.
You talking about that, it's funny because so they wanted it for $1,000, again, a fully produced song, like nothing recorded in advance, fully produced song, $1,000, 4-day turnaround time, 4 days. I'm like,
that's
no,
insane.
that is, I'm not even going to entertain that. There is no amount of money that you could give me that would be able to fit that into that amount of time. Replace my day job. Give me $1 million, then we'll talk. But that's so I kind of in my mindset, I phoned it in, or at least I feel like I did. I've shown it to a lot of people and they're like, dude, this is amazing. This is not phoned in at all. But it's it reminded me of something interesting that I read last week about how basically why skilled people think they're unskilled and why unskilled people think they're skilled. And there's a really scientific, psychological reason for that and why that is a super prevalent phenomenon. And I genuinely do not think I'm good at my job. And it's not even like manufactured legitimately. And I think it's because I am so aware. I've forgotten all of the things that I know how to do. Like, I've forgotten the fact that I
Yeah.
know them. I'm not consciously aware of them anymore, but I am aware of all the things that other people do that I'm appreciative of. So it's like, it's that mismatch of knowledge. Whereas people that are new to a skill, they're hyper conscious of stuff that they already know how to do because they just learned how to do it.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Yep. So you bring it back to being paid a certain amount for doing a song, and I got a job opportunity working with another really big podcaster in the U.S. but named Lindsey Graham. Not the Lindsey Graham you're thinking, not the Republican senator or whatever he does down there. This is the guy who does a lot of history podcasts in the U.S. and stuff, and he makes, I think he's got like 6 of them, and he was looking for an editor. Now, for this editor job, it would be 40 hours a week, and it paid out about 70,000 US or 70,000 Canadian a year, which is fantastic. For editing a podcast, 40 hours a week, I could do that no problem. So I applied for it. But in the job interview, or in the interview, because they have you fill out this form, a questionnaire, it asks you if you're decent at mixing music. And when I say mixing music, I mean like blending tracks underneath. So if you can run, if you can
you mean editing music,
basic.
Editing music, not mixing music. That's called editing.
But the way they called it was mixing music, and I'm like, yes, that's the basic portion of any kind of editing. Is editing music is very, very simple. Beat matching, all that stuff. And he's like, so how do you, one of the questions was, how experienced are you at this 1 through 5? And I put 5. Like, it's God-forsaken simple to do this. So apparently, because this job was paying relatively well for an editor of a podcast, a bunch of people got in and everyone clicked 5 on that. Everyone's like, I can do that. No problem. So he's like, well, it looks like a second email goes out. He says, well, it looks like we have a bunch of musicians in the group. So we're changing the job to a music producer, somebody that's going to write, record, and develop music for the podcast. We want to see all of your history, the history of all the music you've done for podcasts. We want to see all this. And we're going to pay you the same amount of money, and now you get to write music for us. And I went, fuck no. No.
Whoa,
why would I ever take...
Are you willing to divulge the hourly rate?
Well, it's $70K a year. For you do the math, man.
That's not enough.
For 40 hours a week of... No! One song. You just wrote a jingle that how much do you make? Like, you expect around $5K for a jingle.
To put it in perspective, so excluding the thing that I just did, because that was more of a favor to a friend than anything else. But so, like a month prior to that, I sold a jingle, 60 seconds of music for $4,500. Mm-hmm. So do the math on that. Do that for a year and see where you get to.
Yeah. The sound is out of sync. Noah says that. No, I believe we all agreed that we're just going to ignore it.
Yeah.
2 to 3 seconds? Is it so?
I'm not surprised. Like I can hear myself echoing in your headphones, and it's like a solid 10 seconds after I say what I say. It's wild.
You're kidding. Maybe it's me. Okay. Stay in chat, guys. I'm going to reboot my computer and see if that works. 2 seconds. Just stay here. Stay here. All right. One second. 1 second, please. Your call is important to us. You can hear me? Beautiful. Okay, so I just got 1 second here. Thank you for sticking around. This is the, hey, audio is more important than video. I've heard that, though, right? Do I sound weird? Do I sound like I'm robotic? I hope not. So let's remove this. And you get that video back. Remove. Yes. I'm not as quick with cancel. Add. Video input. Video capture device. Okay. There we go. Okay. There we go. Hi, guys. Jen, when he reboots, the Windows update kicks in, he'll be gone for hours. Yeah, you know what? That's a bit of a problem sometimes. Not today, though. We're going to wait on Dylan. This has been a fun little exercise of futility here. Am I dragging, though? Am I having a problem with drag or anything? Yeah, we're just going to keep it like that. No delay. Yay. Instant. All good now. Beautiful. It was my computer that was a problem. Sorry, Dylan. We're going to apologize. We're going to come back here. And we do have one from Noah asking about 32-bit. I'm just going to go back to that. Does 32-bit float work if you use in XLR? 32-bit works if your interface. The 32-bit has reference to the interface. So if you have an interface that can handle 32-bit, yes, it can. Oh, most interfaces now are 24-bit though. However, I am doing a review on a unit that's coming out. It's a new Zoom interface that is 32-bit float. And I will be reviewing that very, very soon. As soon as it comes in, I think I'm getting it this weekend, and I should have the review up by next Monday. Not this Monday coming up. So yeah, if the only way you get 32-bit audio is if your ADDA converters and the interface itself can handle 32-bit. And like I said, most interfaces now are just no. They don't even bother with it because, as we're going to talk about in this video when Dylan finally comes around, I see if he's called me. Oh, there he is. Hey, Dylan, can you hear me?
I'm back.
That was weird, dude. That was really weird.
What was?
There's Dylan. We're going to put...
Hey.
Let's put Dylan on top of me. Wait. Let's move over here.
I have been listening to what you've been saying, though. On my phone.
It was weird. Your audio's like popping.
Popping?
Oh, wow. Your audio is wildly desynced. So your audio is desynced by about 2 to 3 seconds.
Again, that's Discord. I can't do anything about that. There's absolutely nothing I can do.
Yeah, we're going to have to...
So which slower, the video or the audio?
The audio by a mile.
Which is stupid.
Do you want to bring on
way
send me a
lower
link
bandwidth. Yeah, let's do that. Fuck it.
Yeah. Okay. Noah, an RCP2 cannot use 32-bit.
Okay, so here's the thing.
RCP2
I'm just gonna
24-bit.
I'm gonna reserve my opinion until I send you this link. Send in a link myself. Invite. Copy. Paste.
All right. Just open that.
I'm gonna deafen Discord here. I hear you.
You can hear me, yeah?
Yep.
There we go. How's that look? Let me look back at the screen. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
You're about a second off now.
It's better or worse?
That's all good. It's better.
Only a second. By TV standards,
Rick
might as well be death.
Rick says it doesn't look too bad from here. This is brutal, man. I don't understand the issues here, but you know what? I tell you what, we'll figure that out. You're all Wi-Fi in your building, eh?
Not all in but it's not convenient to run a 200-foot Ethernet cable to the router, and I'm not drilling holes in walls.
Convenient. Anyways, yeah, no, I get it. Okay, so 32-bit. Here's the thing, and I'm gonna let Dylan rant a bit on this. 32-bit is this. There's this new movement within audio especially within a lot of audio right now, where people want this one button approach to hit record and not have to look at anything. And it's coming through in a lot of different ways. And 32-bit float is now this new Band-Aid for people that don't even want to set their gain staging properly. And this is essentially, like, it does work as intended. You will find it difficult to clip. However, it's not something. Learning proper practice when setting up a recording is your best case scenario, rather than paying extra money to go 32-bit float. Am I wrong, Dylan?
So, I think in order to understand why this is stupid, we have to understand what the difference is between fixed point and floating point. And I'm not going to get into the mathematics of it, although there is math behind it. Fixed point is 16-bit and 24-bit. So that basically means you have 16 bits worth of value. So the value that the sample level is stored in is 16 bits long, which means if you do the math on that, 2 to the power of 16, you have that many possible dynamic volume levels. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. It's up, I think, 16,384, if I'm not mistaken. It's around there, either that or it's 32,768. It's one of those two. The more bits you have, the more different volume levels you have, which we use to avoid something called bit quantization, which is where you don't have enough different volume levels, and that's where you get 8-bit phenomena. Floating point basically it takes a 24-bit signal and adds 8 bits of headroom on top of that. So you're still getting roughly the same amount of volume levels. It just makes it harder to clip because you've got that extra 8 bits on the back end. Now, if it were 32-bit fixed point, which there are a very narrow set of interfaces that can do 32-bit fixed point, but that is awesome. Now, I'm still going to end up probably trimming it down to 16-bit or 24-bit to be playable on most environments. But all this to say is, to what you said, 32-bit float on a interface is a Band-Aid solution. That's the exact right word for that, because not increasing the amount of available volume levels that you can convert from analog to digital doesn't change all of the other factors that are why you need a healthy signal. Like things like noise floor, preamp distortion. There are lots of other analog and digital factors that will impact your ability to get good audio. So 32-bit is not a replacement for learning what the hell you're doing. That's my 2 cents.
Well, and this is what Dave says. Dave Westner, how you doing, Dave? Says 32-bit seems great for noobs who don't know how to set levels, or experienced engineers who don't understand that 32-bit doesn't mean it sounds better. But here's the problem. It's okay to be a noob, quote unquote, or you can just read the manual and actually learn the process for setting your levels properly. It doesn't take that long. And I can't even tell you how many people message me. I just got another message through Twitter, I believe, or through Instagram. Somebody saying, hey, I'm new to this. Can you tell me what to do? Do go learn. Like I'm here as an asset for you for what I have out there. But no, I'm not going to sit you down for a couple hours and walk you through the process of setting up an audio chain.
I will. Pay me.
But you can go learn it. It's not with that again. That's the other process here is you can give me. I just had a guy from Ford actually say, so you know how to do the YouTube? Do you think you could just show me how to do that? And I'm like, no, you can pay me to show you how to do it. And then you'll be happy. Or you can hire me to do it for you, and you can pay me obscene amounts of money to do it. I am not just going to sit here and walk you through the process.
My thing is, I love teaching people stuff. And it's not about mansplaining, although a lot of people would accuse me of that immediately. But like, it's because I like seeing where people want to be, and I like being the person that shows them how to get there. And watching that like eureka moment where somebody says, I get it. I love that. I love experiencing that. I love watching people's dreams come true through knowledge. That sounds really pretentious, but that's I love teaching people stuff. That said, I don't have the time to do that kind of stuff for free. So unfortunately, if you want
Right?
my time to teach you for anything, I will say this. If it's something that you need me to teach you and it will take me less than 2 hours to teach you, I won't charge you. But if you come to me and say, I don't know, help me start a podcast or help me learn how to make a song, it's like, okay, this is going to be a fucking syllabus and a half, friend. Like,
But here's where it becomes a problem for Dave, and this is where, like, when you have something like this that's appealing to the noobs because it basically gives you a Band-Aid fix for not setting your levels. There's so, and like Dylan said, there's so many other things that you need to learn. For example, everybody who's like, oh, the Blue Yeti sounds like crap. The reason it sounds like crap is because the way you're using it. And nobody's willing to actually learn how to use a microphone in a proper environment. Oh, does a better mic fix this? If you go buy that new NT1 with 32-bit float, it's not going to sound better. It's not going to fix all of your issues. It's just going to let you scream into it and be able to fix it in post. And that's the thing that pisses me off, I think, the most. Not about the product, by the way. The product's fine. It's a natural evolution. They need a sales point on everything. But the problem is it's a fix it in post mentality. That's all we have. Like, everyone's like, I just fix it in post. You will get better product when you give good product to the microphone. So if you have a Behringer XM8500 going into a Behringer interface, if you put good product into that microphone, you will still get good product out. Now, granted, there are other limitations the cheaper you go, but you can still, and we proved this with an SM58, a $100 microphone, that it doesn't matter. You can still get great product from it if you use it properly. And that's where a lot of people, they're not willing to learn that use it properly aspect of it.
So
and I think that giving people Band-Aid solutions.
Here's an analogy that I'm going to make to just circling back to the 32-bit float. So we're not sitting here shitting on it. I'm not sitting here taking a shit on 32-bit float, because 32-bit float as an option in an interface and in a DAW, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing, actually, to have that as an option, as a tool, in the same way that having a pop filter is a tool. That said, if you, just like with pop filters, if you're using either of those things as a crutch, bad news. Bad news. You should be using 32-bit float.
Yeah.
And I would say this is another thing, too. To your point about noobs, yes, I think people that are new to the industry, that don't know how to set levels, that don't know gain staging, that don't know how to carve out a signal flow, are going to get some value at a 32-bit float, because it will allow you to crank your level without necessarily worrying about hitting that digital ceiling. You'll hit other ceilings, believe me, you'll hit other ceilings, but you won't hit the digital one. That said, if you're new to this, at some point in your career, you are going to need to learn to do signal flow, and you're going to learn to do basic professional stuff like recording a high quality 16-bit signal. That's going to be something you are going to have to do at some point. It's not if, it's when. And so if you're using 32-bit to defer learning that knowledge as long as you can, you just sit down and figure it out. Learn it, because that's going to get you much further than relying on 32-bit.
It's the same thing with the Adobe process now for editing podcast audio. They've got the whole thing. You can get it for free. And I even had, like, the guy who runs this really great podcast who makes a ton of coin at it messages me and goes, dude, have you checked this out? Because he was able to fix audio with it that sounded like trash. And between that and RX, he was able to make it sound like the person was talking into a microphone. And that's awesome. But that's an emergency basis. That isn't oh my God, let's just hit record and throw it through Adobe later, screw it. And that's the mentality that I think a lot of people are hitting audio with is, well, you have all these tools, you can just one button approach. I had a person come to me and ask me, well, I want to debreath my audio. What program do I use? I said, well, just use Wave Debreath. But it screws up all my audio.
The scissor tool.
The scissor tool, but it's also like, well, the deep breath tool isn't meant to like just cram all your audio in and deep breath everything. You have to manually go through and treat your audio. I spend on a video that I do on this channel at least 3 hours working my audio before I put it out to make sure like I got the breaths down, all the mouth noises. I work that stuff and it takes time. There's no one button. And I think we're moving towards that with the Adobe stuff and 32-bit float, where we're really trying to pander to people that couldn't be arsed to learn it, and they just want to fix it. Just fix it. And then they look at us for audio engineers and go, I won't pay that.
I've got a little story that ties into this perfectly. So I was part of an external industry expert focus group this week for a well-known college in Ontario in their radio broadcasting program, to basically dictate how the future of the program should go. And no, Aiden, it's not the school you're thinking of. Somewhat ironically.
Oh, damn. They need a teacher?
So here's the thing, though. They asked me and the 7 other professionals that were on this call in various parts of the industry, when I'm hiring a producer, what are some key things that I'm going to look for in a producer? And I told them there was a few things, but there were 2 really important things that colleges don't do right now that I said, if I'm hiring a producer and they have these 2 things, it's a rubber stamp. It's done. It's over. I found my candidate. And those 2 things, number 1 is the ability to coach talent, specifically the ability to coach talent who is not broadcast trained. That's important, because that's a lot of what we do, is teaching people who don't know how to talk and teach them how to talk. And then the other thing was people that know how to process, people that know what a compressor does and how it works, and people that know what an EQ is. Because especially since COVID, now we're getting audio from all kinds of different environments. And a lot of the times we don't have control over the recording process. So in the same way as 32-bit, you can use plug-in presets as a crutch, and you can get by with a sort of good sound by using the factory presets in a Waves plugin or the factory presets in an Audition plugin. But learning how to use the actual tool will give you exponentially better results than people that don't.
And that's such it's such a point of interest for schools right now, where they can't really teach you on all the gear, but you don't need the gear to learn compression. You don't need the gear to learn EQ. And once you learn what the gear is, any gear that you learn on, if you learn on a Focusrite, if you learn on anything, it all transfers over. Like, it's all the same. It's the same. It's slightly different packaging, but it's all the same. There's no real like surprises to jump out at you, especially as like any interface up to $1,000 is basically the same, with variable bells and variable whistles. And then once you hit 1,000, you kind of change it up and you get a few extra little goodies and a few things in there. And as long as you know how to handle one, you'll know how to handle them all. And when you're going for a job, I don't know how many jobs where just in the past couple weeks, the very same question, do you know how to use Reaper? Well, no, but I know how to use this, this, and this. So Reaper, and I've used Reaper before, and I know it's a workflow issue, but it ain't much different from Premiere Pro or from Studio One. It's a wildly different workflow. You just got to get used to it.
Well, and
I know Reaper.
So it's funny you bring that up, because that was another thing on my list. Is I told the higher ups at this college, including the dean, here's the thing. Right now, you're teaching Adobe Audition. And again, this is a program specifically for radio. I brought it to their attention. I'm sure they're already aware that Pro Tools is starting to take a significant market share away from a radio production. Most of the big station owners in Canada, in fact, all of the big ones that own most of the stations in the country, are using Pro Tools now. Some of them are hybrid. Some of them have both. I think a lot of Bell stations have both. But I said, here's the thing. Ideally, I would love it if you guys taught your students Pro Tools, because that means that my job, when I have to onboard someone, is a lot less complicated. That said, in the same breath, I'm like, I know Pro Tools in a corporate ecosystem like your college is going to be a massive pain in the ass. So look, as you teach them how to use any DAW, and that's already getting me most of the way there. Just teach them how to use a DAW. Teach them how to edit. Teach them how to use, as far as shortcut keys and what things are called, I can teach someone that on the fly. That's not a big deal. But if you could teach someone Pro Tools, even for a semester on Pro Tools first, that would be great. But any DAW, it's all translatable.
So, and before we wrap this up, because the irony of an audio channel having weird audio and shitty audio is kind of too much for me. I would say this. So the 32-bit thing is one of those things where it's awesome. It's awesome that we have this kind of stuff. It's like last year, the big thing, the big push was DSP processing on cheaper units. That was the big sales point last year. This year, it seems to be 32-bit. It seems to be you can't even clip it if you try. And I've had all the salespeople like, we put it in front of an amp and we played the guitar as loud as we could just to try to clip it. And I get that, but it's at the same time, it's a tool and it's going to be awesome. Cool. You've got an extra thing in your repertoire, but I think we need to not focus on not using it to not gain stage and maybe just use it as a tool in the future. Now you can go out and record even louder things, right? Like you can go out and if you have a microphone that can handle it, you can record a jet engine. Yay! Without clipping. And I think that's kind of where I think with a lot of 32-bit and stuff like that, I would like to see the industry go rather than using it as like a, hey man, you can scream into your microphone and just fix it in post, you know? Anyways, I'm going to call this one. Joey hates Pro Tools, by the way. A
lot of people do, and I'm not going to be a guy that's going to sit here and tell you that Pro Tools is perfect. In fact, Pro Tools is probably one of the fussiest pieces of software when it comes to hardware. That said, if you can get a system that Pro Tools is stable on, or build a system in some cases that Pro Tools is stable on, its feature set is relatively unparalleled. You're not going to find a ton of industries where Pro Tools is as applicable across verticals as it is. There's things that Pro Tools can do that Audition can't do. There's things that Pro Tools can do that Reaper obviously can't do.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes is it worth it to sacrifice some of those peripheral features? Here's a good example is Heat. The harmonically enhanced algorithm technology that Avid has imposed that used to be Pro Tools Ultimate in HD, now is available with Pro Tools LE in Studio, that adds harmonic saturation to every channel in the background. It's not a plugin. It's built into the DAW. And so that's why Pro Tools is still the industry standard in several industries, not broadcast and podcasting yet. I don't know if it'll ever get to that point because what podcasting needs, what you need to make a good podcast is more content based than like technology based. You could make a good podcast in Audacity. As long as you've got somebody that knows how to perform, you've got good content, you've got good music, good sound design. But as far as putting it together, yeah, you could do that in any DAW. But yeah.
All right. I just asked in chat here, does Dylan sound fine to you guys? Because if he sounds fine to you guys, we'll continue. What I'm getting from you, which is fascinating, by the way, is I get you live. So I have your live read as you're talking in a robot voice. But then I have this 3-second delayed version of Dylan talking normally. So the immediate voice, the one that's all lined up is completely robotic. And then I get 3-second delay and then I get normal voice Dylan. And it's really wild. I feel like I'm on acid. I'm not even kidding you. I've done acid before and this is what it feels like. It's Dylan. So everyone says you sound fine. So perfect. We'll keep going here. Shit, that was really messing with me. Which, like, again, we're an audio channel. Interesting. His usual self, Dylan, is an absolute delight. I really like... I don't know. Somebody needs to get that. Somebody needs to get the video of Dylan reacting like that, because that was amazing. We can't hear you. I'm sure you know that we can't hear you, actually. Okay, cool. All right. Absolutely brilliant. I do have to say, some of the stuff coming out, Zoom's new
check
UAC. Now you're just robotic.
I just recorded myself through the interface that you're hearing me through, and I got no issues at all. So whatever it is, it's at your end. It's not here.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna see. But 1 second.
Actually, well, I'm gonna record. I'm gonna record clean feed just while we're doing this, and I'm gonna see what it sounds like. Aiden, record everyone. Dot 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 dot.
Oh, I don't have loop back on this stupid Focusrite 2i2 because it's wild. If everyone says you still sound good, you're good.
Check.
The new Zoom coming out, the video coming up on Monday, by the way, is I finally got my hands on the Zoom H8, and I have some thoughts. They sent it along to me, and this is a wild piece of gear. We do have something. I'm planning something in the near future for it because they also sent me along. I can't believe. So Dylan, when you started recording, this is what they sent along with it. This is the Zoom EX-H8, I believe. And it's an extra 4 XLR inputs for the Zoom H8. But when you were growing up and you were getting into audio, Dylan, how much would it have cost you back in the day for the ability to record 10 XLR tracks, multi-track?
Well, I mean, my first ever interface that had the ability to record 2 things that at the same time that were from different places was the Mbox 2. And that freaking blew my mind. I'm like, what, 2 things at the same time? Whoa. And so 10 things, I would guess $2,000 to $3,000 probably.
Oh, easily. And that's the thing that because a lot of this thing has kind of been putting me back to the 90s when I was starting to record. I was recording into a 4-track, which would be a 4-track where you'd record to a tape. It was horrible. It sounded like garbage, but you could record 4 tracks onto a tape. And if you wanted to multi-track, quote unquote, or if you wanted higher fidelity, you had to get a reel-to-reel. The 4-track cost you about $1,000 in the 90s, which equals out to about $2,200 today. And doing reel-to-reel back in the 90s, just a single reel of tape was $400. Just a single reel of tape.
And what is that? Is that quarter inch, 1 inch, 2 inch?
Yeah.
Two
no,
inch,
that was a 1 inch.
Even 2-inch tapes today, like a 2-inch reel, like for 24 or 16 track recording, which is still a thing that people manufacture because it's a thing that people use in studios. It costs you probably about the same amount, but adjusted. It's nuts.
Oh, Jesus. So, and then I look at that and I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, so this records with this attachment. This costs under $500 by the way. With the attachment, the EX-H8, you can record up to 10 inputs simultaneous recording.
Can I has?
What's that?
Can I has?
You can. Well, you can be at your house. I don't care. I'll literally leave it with you. I think I'll have to keep ownership for the time, but when I no longer need it,
I just want to mess around with it. That's literally what I was saying. I don't want to keep it. I don't have enough room.
Oh, we're messing around with it.
Sweet.
Yeah, I know.
I know the project you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's going to be wild. So This is going to be one of those things that'll be coming up. I have a feeling it will be. Dang, you guys getting ripped off. Although I'm in the US, I think I was around $80 in the 90s. One was around $80 in the 90s for a reel of 1-inch tape. God, where did you get that from?
1-inch tape. Yeah, that's wild. For $80.
Yeah.
In the 90s, which is probably about what, $200 today? It's still pretty good.
Yeah. No, I remember, I also grew up in Thunder Bay, which was isolated, so maybe there was some shipping costs. It was called the Tape Complex in Boston. Damn. Well, being Canadian might actually, when I say $400, I mean 400 Canadian, which I think back in the 90s was about $80 US. The amount, when I'm joking, obviously, but there was at a point where our dollar was only worth 50 cents of an American dollar. So probably would have been about plus the shipping and all that. Yeah, it probably works out. $400 for me living in Thunder Bay was about right. Other than that, though, I think I'm gonna call it here. It's almost 6 o'clock, and I'm having a hard time hearing Dylan, despite the fact that you guys can actually hear him. And I think it has something to do with possibly my interface, because if everyone else can hear him fine, that means I've got some doubling going on that I'm not too happy
I just
about.
sent you a recording I did through Clean Feed of just for a few seconds of you and I talking, and I sound fine. So I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, you know what I can? Can I do screen capture? All right, there. So talk a little bit there, Dylan.
Check it a 1, check it a 2, check it a 1, 2, 3, check it a 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't know what I'm a doing.
All right, stop. Oh dear God, that was. I'm gonna send you that, and you're going to laugh. For actually, I will post my audio onto the Discord. So join the Discord if you haven't already. The link is down below. Cheers, guys. Have yourself a great rest of your day. We'll see you next week, and hopefully I can get the gremlins out of my system. Cheers.
See you later.